if you're looking to buy a red light therapy device, whether it's something small like this or massive like that, then this video is for you. Hey guys, it's Alex here from alexfergus.com. Now this is my new and improved updated red light therapy buyer's guide. Now many years ago, I actually recorded a buyer's guide, red light therapy buyer's guide. I think that's what it was titled. I think it was back in 2000. I don't know, it was quite a few years ago. That video was good, but like I said, it's quite old now, and I have learnt a lot more about red light therapy. The market has changed immensely. Back then, there were only a few players and a few products. Now you've got everything from handheld little, pen light devices to massive wall panels, for instance, beds, all sorts of things. So what I thought I'd do is an updated video, and this is it. So in this video, we're going to cover at this stage 11 key things you need to look for or look out for or be aware of when it comes to buying a red light therapy device. Now, often I say red light therapy panel. If you've watched a lot of my videos, a lot of my reviews and videos about red light therapy panels, such as this one hanging here. But this video is not just about panels, it's about devices as a whole. So whether you're looking at a small handheld device or a massive, walk-in red light therapy room, then this video is for you. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first things first, when it comes to buying a red light therapy device, is what sort of size are you looking at? You could say budget would be the first thing, like that's quite limiting, but no, I think you need to determine what size device you want. Now, you may decide you want to get something small like this, the Mito Red Light Mito Mobile Flex, bit of a mouthful. This is a battery powered device, and in fact, you can even get smaller devices than this, such as little handheld spot treatment, for joints and stuff, pen-like devices, but these offer a lot better value, which we'll talk about soon. Or you may want something more like this, which is also from Mito Red Light. This is their Mito Red Mito Mid, which is what I used to say would be a half panel. That's good for targeted treatment, maybe on your face or your knee or your feet. Or you may want a larger, what I call a full body panel. This is quite a large one. This is the Mito Red Mito Pro. So typically these are about 3 or 4 feet high and treat, maybe a half or a quarter of your body. Or you may even go larger than that, and you may go with something like this, which is my quad Biomax 900 setup. So I actually have 4 of these panels connected together, so you can do a full body treatment, head to toe, in one hit. Now, if that's not big enough, you could even go bigger, and you could look at some of the 1,000 LED panels that are out there, which are similar size to this setup, but they're all one device. You don't clip them all together like I've done with the Biomax. Now, I've reviewed all of these products I've just shown you, plus many more, so I'll put links to them below. If you do want to go bigger than something like this, you could look at the Mito Red room where you walk in and there's 2 massive panels and an enclosed room, but something like that is $20,000, $30,000 and more for, say, commercial operators. There are also beds out there where you lie on them and you have panels or LEDs above you and beneath you, just like you would with a tanning bed. So, like I said, the first thing you need to decide is what size do you want? Do you want a single LED pen-like device? Do you want a handheld, battery-operated 12 LED device? Do you want something, a half panel for tabletop use, for treating your face, but perhaps, with about, say, 50 LEDs? Do you want something like this, which hangs from the wall or the back of the door, and may have anything from, say, 100 to, say, 300 LEDs? Or do you want a massive wall setup that has anything from 500 to 1,000 LEDs? You need to decide what you want from your red light therapy device, what you're trying to achieve, and then once you've figured that out, go from there. Of course, a lot of people are probably watching this thinking, wow, I would love one of those, but I know that's going to cost me a bomb, so realistically I probably can't. But we're going to talk about how you could achieve a setup like this without breaking the bank all at once later on in the piece, so be sure to hang around for that. Okay, so next up we're going to look at budget. So once you've got a rough idea of what sort of size you want and what your needs are, then of course you need to look at how much you can spend. So if you were wanting a device that you can use for traveling, and carry in your gym bag and use when you're watching a movie at night, something like this is going to be a great size, for instance, right? Now, when you're looking at these handheld battery devices, they range from a couple $100 up to about $500. So straight away, you need to decide, all right, well, how much can I afford? How much can I spend? And that will narrow your options down again. Now, one thing I should mention, I'm actually affiliated with a lot of these red light therapy companies, and discount code ALEX, ALEX, will save you anything from 5 to 10% on some of these products and panels. So make sure you include that in your decision-making process, that you can get these discounted panels. If you're trying to find out which one is the best value, you think, well, I've narrowed my options down to these three, which one is the best, then do a search on my channel, because I may have reviewed them. Chances are I have. I've covered a lot of these products, so that will help you determine which product is the best value. While we're on the topic of budget, one thing I need to mention is that more is not necessarily better. I know many things in life, you spend top dollar, you get a top quality product. That's not necessarily the case here with red light therapy. And in fact, some of the more expensive products on the market aren't that good from a value or performance point of view. Again, I've done a lot of comparison and testing, which has led me to this conclusion, so you can check out those videos. So keep that in mind. If you do have a bunch of money, don't think that you've got to spend it all to get a really good product. You can look at certain things such as value, power per LED, warranty, all these things I'm going to cover later on in this video, and you can factor that into your equation. So for instance, you may find that two similar products, one has a lot more power than the other, but they're similar price. So you're better off going with the one that has more power, for instance. There's also other things such as warranty, wavelengths, all those other features that I'm going to cover in this video. I've done a lot of value calculations with red light therapy products, and I've included them over at my website and in a spreadsheet that I'll link to below. All right, the next thing to consider when you're about to buy a red light therapy device is the EMF levels. Now, fortunately, most of the products on the market today are very low when it comes to non-native EMF levels. Back in 2017, 2018, this wasn't necessarily the case, and a lot of them were not dangerous as such, but did put out concerning levels of non-native EMF. Companies have learned from this and have improved it. But I always test for EMF levels in my product reviews. So if there is a panel or product you're looking for and you're curious about the EMF levels, do a search and you'll be able to find out if it is something you should be worried about. But like I said, most of them are pretty good these days. Another thing to factor in your decision-making process is flicker in the LEDs. Now, flicker is something that could be stressful to the eye, to the body, and ideally you want that removed. Unless you're getting a panel that has something called pulsing, which is where you can determine the flicker rate effectively. But a poorly designed red light therapy product may have some light flicker embedded in the LEDs, which you don't want. If it's a well-built, well-tested panel, then you won't have these problems. Again, I test for flicker in all my reviews, so check out my reviews below. Next up, you have wavelengths. Now, when I did my previous red light therapy buyer's guide video, pretty much you could only get products that had two wavelengths, which is 660, your red light, and 850, which is your near infrared light. Fast forward a couple of years, and now you have products and panels that have 5 or 6 wavelengths embedded in them. So for instance, the Biomax behind me, the Biomax 900s from Platinum LED, this is their second generation Biomax. This has 5 wavelengths in it, 5 different wavelengths. The Mito Red Mito Pro over here has 4 wavelengths in it. Something maybe budget, like the base Mito Mid Pro, the Mito Mid over here has your standard 2, just like this handheld device does as well, only 2 wavelengths. So this is a big topic. Do you need those, what I call alternative wavelengths, or do you just want to stick with your 660 and 850? Pretty much your 660 and 850 options are going to be cheaper. If you're looking at something that has a few more wavelengths in it, chances are it's going to be a little bit more expensive, but that's not necessarily the case. If you've seen my 2021-2022 body panel comparison review, where this particular panel came out on top, you'll see that it did really well in the value and price categories as well. Now, when it comes to wavelengths and trying to determine which ones are correct for you, it's a very complex topic. In fact, there are thousands of studies looking at different wavelengths and their health benefits on the body. But I like the approach that we know that these other wavelengths do have some benefit on the body, so we may as well tap into them. If you look at something like the Biomax, 80% of their light is with the standard 660 and 850, and only 20% is with those, say, alternative wavelengths. Something like the Mito read over here, their 4 wavelengths are evenly split, 25% going to everything. So it really depends on you. Are you a little bit, say, conservative and you just want the tried and tested, more traditional wavelengths? Then you might like a panel that has more energy going to the standard ones. Or if you think that these new wavelengths are going to be a lot more beneficial for you, then yeah, you're going to look at those other ones. Personally, if you're getting, say, something like a body panel, I would recommend getting something that does incorporate those alternative wavelengths. If you're getting something small like this, you may find it difficult to find a product that has multiple wavelengths in them, though they do exist. Okay, next up we have irradiance, or power output. Now, I get this question a lot. People will say, hey, look, this company says they're the most powerful panel in the market, and another one says it's putting out these numbers, but it's actually higher than the other one. How does it all work? To be honest, I don't read into the numbers listed on a company's website when it comes to power irradiance or power output. Now, remember, this is the actual light you're getting from the LEDs. The higher the number, the more therapeutic red light you're getting. And this is why a real cheap, red LED or a red torch you'd get from, say, I don't know, a hardware store isn't going to have the same benefit on your body as one of these panels. It's not just the light, it's the amount of energy behind that light as well. So in all my videos and all my testing and comparisons, I test for irradiance using a spectrometer device. It cost me a few $1,000s. It looks at how much energy is coming in at various wavelengths. So I test all of these panels at 6 inches and other distances to find what the device is telling me is the true irradiance. I use that figure to make comparisons, and I share all that data, and then I use that to also make recommendations. These are the numbers that I use rather than the numbers on the company website. The problem with just taking a number off the company's website is we don't know how it's been tested. They may use a different type of meter. A lot of companies use solar meters, which really only test total light output. You can use that to see how bright the sun is or how bright a camera is, for instance, a lighting devices, for instance. They're not really what you want if you're trying to find out true irradiance. The other issue is some companies test at 3 inches, some at 6 inches. Some may tweak their results a little bit, and they may up the power rating or, find a hot spot and really take that figure, whereas it's not really the true representation of the light output from the panel. There's all sorts of variances. So if you really want to know what is the most powerful, or you want to know the true irradiance figures, like I said, check out some of my reviews, check out my spreadsheet where I've published all this data. But make sure you do factor this into your shopping equation. I should note that any panel that has been launched from, say, 2021 and onwards is going to be putting out a ton of power. Even the more budget options that we're seeing today are a lot more powerful from panels that were released a few years ago. And I should also note that I was using some of these lower powered panels back in 2017, for instance, and I was getting good results. So it's not necessarily more is better. You're not looking for the most powerful product out there, but you do want to know that you're getting your money's worth. And when it comes to power radiance, I should have mentioned this earlier. A higher powered panel is going to mean a few things. It's going to mean a shorter treatment time because you don't have to stand in front of the panel for as long as you would with, say, a less powered panel. So in turn, it means that if you can only afford, say, a small half panel like this, but it's really high powered, you might do 5 minutes on your face, 5 minutes on your chest, 5 minutes on that sore knee, right? And you're done. Whereas if it was a panel this size and it was only a quarter of the power output, you may have to do 10 or 15 minutes on the face, 10 or 15 minutes on the chest, 15 minutes on the knee. So the whole session duration to get the same amount of red light is going to be much longer. Likewise with proximity to the panel, these Bimaxes behind me are maybe the most powerful panels on the market. I can stand, say, a foot away from it and still get a really good therapeutic dose. Whereas if it was a lower powered panel, I have to come right in. As you come in closer, your risk of EMF exposure is higher. There's more heat coming from the panels. It means the light isn't evenly spread. It's a lot noisier, all those sort of things. And finally, while I'm talking about the Biomax, I should note that the new Biomax panels actually have an option to change the power level. You can do this through the control panel, so I could say 100% power going to the red lights and say 20% going to the infrared. Or I could bring the whole thing down. I could say I only want 10% power. Maybe I want it for a background light, or maybe I'm going to do an hour-long meditation next to one of these panels, and I don't want that full power for an hour. I just want, you know, a nice light therapeutic dose spread over a long time. I can do that with something like this. So that's another thing to be aware of. Remember, more is not necessarily better, but it does mean more efficient and shorter treatment protocols. The ability to change the power output is even better again. All right, the next thing to look for is warranty and return periods. So if you do have a problem with one of these panels, you want to know that you can get coverage. I mean, if you're buying something like this, you're spending say $1,000, something like this, $4,000. If something goes wrong, you want to know that, hey, you're going to be looked after. Some companies only have a year-long warranty period. Other companies go right out to 5 years. I covered this in my 2021 red light therapy comparison series, where I look at the warranty period with all the companies. Another thing to look at is return policy. So let's say you're tossing up between two panels or two different devices. Maybe check out the warranty and return period for both of these companies, and that may help you decide which one you'll go for. All right, now we're looking at shipping and availability. So shipping cost is a big thing. Some of these products, like this Mito Red panel here, are about 30 or 40 pounds. If you're living, you know, in New Zealand like I do, you may end up spending a lot of money on shipping. Fortunately, a lot of companies do free shipping or discounted shipping, or they've somehow come up with really good rates. You know, I ordered some small glasses the other day, and I had to pay $100 and something to get them shipped here, whereas I can get some of these panels shipped here for like $20, $30. It's bizarre. I'm not too sure how it works. But anyway, it is something you need to factor in into your decision-making process. If you're based in America, you're lucky, because a lot of these companies are based in America and offer free American shipping. However, there are some red light therapy companies popping up in Europe, Great Britain, Canada, and Australia as well. So you may find that there is a particular company that, you know, is in your neighborhood and does free shipping or discounted shipping, or even quicker shipping, because that's the other thing. Getting some of these things from overseas, even if it is inexpensive, is taking a while. And on that note, another thing to factor in is availability. As we all know, there's massive supply chain issues, chip shortages and whatnot. Some of these companies are really struggling for inventory. So a lot of companies are doing pre-orders, 1 or 2 month waits, if not longer, whereas other companies have a ton of inventory on hand. So again, that may influence which company you go with. All right, next up, the other thing to look for is ease of use. Now, if you've used a red light therapy panel before, you'll know that they're rather simple to use. However, as they're getting more advanced and incorporating more features and more bells and whistles, some of the panels are a little bit more tricky or complex to use. There's been 1 or 2 that were very confusing to use, but fortunately they're improving that, so that is good to know. But if you're buying this, say, for your parents or your grandparents, or you're using it in a public space like a gym or a commercial setting, you probably don't want something that has, you know, a 30-page instruction manual to explain how to work it. So it's something you need to factor into your decision-making process. Watch my videos where I review all of these products, and you'll see how some of them work really well, some of them not so well. Something like the Biomax has a new control panel, touchscreen control panel, and that's really nice, really simple to use. You have basic panels like this Mito Mid, which has 1 switch on the back, 2 switches, 1 for red light, 1 for near infrared light. Pretty easy, but you don't get the timer and all the other fancy features. Something like this is, again, very simple. It has a power button for on off and a button to change between wavelengths. So keep an eye on, or make sure you look into how the product works. Watch my reviews if I have reviewed it, because I will share my honest feedback. If there's something good or bad about the product, I'll be sure to let you know. We're coming up towards the end of this video, but there's 2 more things I want to talk about. If you are buying a larger panel, well, no, actually, if you're buying any panel, whether it's this size, this one, or something like this, you want to know if they support modular capability. So what that means is, if you buy 1 panel now, in 6 months' time when you get a bit more cash, you could buy another one and clip it on and connect them all together and just control it through the one one control panel. That's a big thing, because what it does is allow you to end up with a setup like this. I didn't go out and buy 4 Biomax panels. I started with one, I got another one, and then eventually I got enough where I could build this entire wall setup. If the Biomax panels didn't have that modular capability, I would somehow just have to hang all these panels, and I'd be drilling all sorts, and it would probably make a big mess. And then I'd have 4 different power cords, and I'd have to manually turn 4 of them on, change the timer and the settings on 4 of them. It wouldn't work very well. But when you have the new Biomaxes, or a lot of these panels on the market, including the Mito Reds, they all connect together, they clip together in a modular fashion. You can link them all, you can link the power cable, so you only have one power cable coming out the back. And in the instance with the Biomax panels, they actually use Wi-Fi connectivity, so I can connect them all together from a data point of view, and I don't even need cables. And then all I do is I come in, one control panel, press start, and all 4 of them run. So something like that is very useful. And if you think you're going to expand your product range, then you want to make sure that the single panel you get today does have modular capability. And finally, another thing to look for is the stands and accessories that you can purchase with those panels. Again, we'll go back to the Biomax behind me. I've got them mounted to a wall mounting bracket. It was about $60, so there's 2 of them here. You can also get a horizontal stand, so if you want to lie on a bed and the stands and the panels are above you, you can get vertical stands. You can get floor boots, where you slot the panel into the stand and you can move it around on wheels or lean it up against a wall. Door hanging hooks, pulley systems, all sorts of things. So you need to think about where you want to use that panel or the product, and how you'd like to set it up, and then see if the company offers the appropriate stands or accessories. Because these stands, these wall mount stands here, which I've reviewed, they'll work with the Biomax panels, but they may not work with, say, Juve, or they won't work with Juve panels. And then Juve's brackets and stands won't work with Biomax. And then Mito Red may have different stands to Solbasium and stuff like that. So you need to do some digging and make sure that you're not rushing out to get this panel that may look good and have a good price, but then isn't going to work the way you want it to work. So be sure to check that out. All right, guys, I think that's everything. Yeah, there's a lot to cover. Like I said, a lot has changed since I did that last red light therapy buyer's guide. If it's all overwhelming and you're watching this thinking, oh my God, what are all these terms? Irradiance, alternative wavelengths, flicker. You don't even know where to start or where to begin. Leave a comment below. I'll do my best to help you. Just tell me about your budget and your needs and whatnot, and I can do my best to help you. But I really do recommend spending some time checking out the videos on my channel. Maybe start with the 2021-2022 body panel comparison series, because I actually compared 12 body panels across all of these topics I've covered in this video, and I score them and I rank them and I talk about them, and then I use that to determine winners. So that could be a good start, because you're going to learn more about all of these things, and then it's going to help you find the best product for your needs. Along with that, I've got a lot of head-to-head comparison videos, Juve versus Biomax, Mito Red versus Biomax and stuff like that. And I've also got a lot of dedicated reviews. So the LightPath LED pulse panel, I reviewed that. Solbasium, I went and reviewed some of their panels. So again, chances are I've covered it, but if you do have a question, leave them below. I should also mention, like I said earlier, I'm affiliated with a lot of these companies. Discount code Alex will save you a few dollars or a few percent. It does give me a little bit of a kickback, but it helps me to continue to test, review, record these videos and share them with you. If you do just want to dive straight in, you just want to get one really good panel for say $1,000, you know what? Just go check out maybe the Platinum LED Biomax 900 or the Mito Red Mito Pro 1500. They're both pretty good starting point panels. The Platinum LED panel is what I'm using here, and that's what I use on a day-to-day basis. It's what my family use. It's what I've been using for many years now. I like it because you've got multiple wavelengths in there. You've got the really nice control panel, the low EMF, and a really good price. However, even something basic like this or an older generation panel is still going to work. It worked for me. So you don't have to go out and get the latest and greatest, but they are a little bit better. So I'll leave it there. If you've enjoyed this, give me a thumbs up. Any questions, leave them below. be sure to hit subscribe because I will have more videos like this coming out. Again though, check out all the ones I have already posted. All right guys, bye.